Hello and welcome to another episode of this Indian LCHF podcast, and it is such an honor and privilege for us to see you and meet you and spend this time with you. I'm your host Natchi.
And I'm Tina.
And today we have an exciting show and a topic that is going to really add value to you. And we've been looking at topics like what is LCHF, why LCHF. We've been talking about lots of details, practical details like that, how you can get started and so on.
What to eat.
What to eat. We looked at what to eat. And so if you haven't checked out those recordings or the live shows that we did, go and have a look at them in our Facebook page and Instagram account and all the other social media channels. So today we are talking about, what are we talking about, Tina?
The side effects of an LCHF diet or a ketogenic diet.
The side effects. So let's get going.
Okay, so people ask me, what are the side effects? And I'm like, side effects? Your side will become smaller, and your back and your front. So basically you'll lose not just weight, but diameter, if I may say so, or surface area. So yeah, those are the side effects. But
I think the non-LCHF way has more side effects than LCHF.
More negative side effects, and the LCHF way has positive side effects. Anyway. So what are the side effects? There are some side effects at the beginning of an LCHF diet. They don't last long, but it's good to know them so that you are equipped to face any of those side effects in case you get them. So the first...
So just 1 minute, sorry to interrupt you, but the word side effect has like almost like you eat something and something happens to you. So when you say side effects, what do you mean? Before we actually get into the side effects. Like something that people feel or something that happens to you, or
it could be anything. It could be something that just people feel, or it's they feel it because something is changing in their body. So yeah,
which it is, right?
Which is
because you're shifting from one way of living to another way of living, so your body will naturally react a little bit.
Yeah, one kind of fuel to another kind of fuel, totally different kinds. So obviously the body is going to react, the body is going to take time to adapt, and during that the changes that you see are what we are calling side effects. Usually side effects sounds like a negative, dangerous, scary thing, you don't want these side effects, but this is not like that. First of all, they are not terribly negative. Second, they are not long lasting. It's going to last only until your body gets adapted. And not everyone is going to have all the side effects. I've heard some people say, I've had no side effects at all. It's been very easy. And some people have had some. So, yeah. So,
of course, our regular advice to you, if you are under medication or any medical, this is not medical advice. And so you please consult your doctor. If you have something that is impacting you in a big way, or you're having medication, then we highly recommend you consult your doctor if you have any of those effects. But
so let's go to the first side effect. See, we have to understand that getting into LCHF or a ketogenic diet, stopping the carbs is like, it's like a de-addiction program, from alcohol or from drugs or any other substance abuse. Because so just like you have withdrawal symptoms, there will be symptoms when you're withdrawing from carbohydrates and a carbohydrate addiction, and a carb fueling method. There will be withdrawal symptoms, most of which some are named as the keto flu. It's called the ketogenic flu. And the symptoms of this flu, also called the induction flu, because you're inducting yourself into a new kind of lifestyle and fueling system, energy fueling system. So people have headache, lethargy, irritability, confusion, which people call a brain fog, sometimes nausea. All this happens because the body is withdrawing from its carb addiction. And this can happen for a few days. And what happens when the body is changing its energy fueling mechanism is because insulin secretion reduces, the kidney does not retain salt anymore. Therefore you might lose salt. on a high carb diet, because insulin secretion is high, salt retention is also high, which is why the general advice to people who eat a lot of carbs is reduce your salt intake. Reduce your salt intake. It could increase your blood pressure. Reduce your salt intake. Don't eat pickles. Don't add salt and all that. But that's not the trouble on a low carb, high fat diet. The kidney will stop retaining salt. So you will need extra salts. So that is one reason why this could happen. And another thing is maybe the body is not having enough fat, because you're so used to low fat that even when you switch to a low carb, high fat diet, instinctively you're reducing the amount of fat because you're used to it. And then that would result in a low carb and a low fat diet, which basically means you're low on energy. You're not giving your body enough energy at all. Therefore, you're going to feel tired and have a few of these symptoms. So the reason could be salt loss, or the reason could be not enough fats. So the solution for this, and the third reason could be dehydration, because the kidney is not retaining too much salt. You would also be urinating more at the beginning. So the third reason is dehydration. Third reason is dehydration. So to avoid these symptoms, if you have these symptoms, the suggestion would be to drink increased amounts of fluids, namely water or bone broth. The advantage in bone broth is it has both calcium and magnesium salts. And if you add pink salt to it, then you also have magnesium, calcium and potassium as well. So when you have bone broth with pink salt, then that's a good way to get rid of these symptoms. If you're not a meat eater and you can't have bone broth, then I would suggest probably just lime water with pink salt. And don't forget to add fat. Adding fat is crucial. So these are the two solutions to the symptoms of a keto flu. And if it still doesn't go, just hang in there, just hang in there. Your body will get used to it, and then you won't have any of these symptoms anymore. People who are prone to migraines could probably also have a migraine headache for a day or two. I don't think there's much that can be done about it. If you want to take a painkiller, then you could. That's up to you. But that will also get sorted in a day or two. On the positive note, migraines become very few and far apart on an LCHF lifestyle.
You used to have a migraine.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I know from experience that migraines are greatly reduced or almost eliminated on an LCHF lifestyle.
And I also would say the first few days is what you're saying, right? So maybe 2 days, 3 days for most. For
most people, it would take 2 to 3 days. For some people, maybe a week. But I don't think these symptoms should last more than that.
So I would say, try to keep some kind of motivational, extra motivation for those first few days when you are starting, and an extra little bit of, will and self-control type of things, because those are the times when you want to give up, and then you give up and you go back, and then you have to start it all over again. So if you can find some way. So what are some of the tips? What can people do to keep themselves motivated? Are we going to talk about that now, or you want to talk about that later?
I'm not so much of the motivational talk expert. I'd be like, go look at the facts. If all these advantages can't motivate you, then I don't know what else can. Anyway, sorry.
But I just want to talk about that, because some of us do need motivation, and not that everybody. Sometimes I'm also realizing some of our audience may not have the support system at home. See, for me, I am not like Tina. I need the extra help. I always need extra motivation. So when I started out as someone, the first few days was difficult. It was weird. I used to come and ask all sorts of questions. I'm like, this is happening to me. I'm hungry. Oh, I'm so tired. All of what Tina said, actually, and for me, the biggest thing, I think, if I remember, was tiredness. So I kept being tired and dehydrated, but Tina kept telling me that it's dehydration, this is what's happening, hold on, do this. And the other thing that really motivated me was the weighing machine, because the first few days you will start seeing results. If you're like me, I was extremely obese, and because I was obese, the results started coming in very quickly. So I think in the first week itself, I lost quite a bit of weight. So that is also another way to do that. But if you're not just looking for weight loss, but you're looking for a healthy lifestyle, then you may want to think about maybe listening to more of this truths, like go and listen to some of our recordings, our videos, read some books, read some blogs. So that knowledge will keep you going, because for many of us, we need that knowledge that we're in the right direction. And then of course, medically, if you want to talk to somebody, then you can also do that. Yeah.
See, I think there are two things. One is, like you said, knowledge, the possible positive outcomes of an LCHF lifestyle. I mean, imagine yourself being slimmer. Imagine yourself fitting into clothes that you could never fit into. But above this, imagine yourself being free from chronic medication, because even if you're not on medication right now, a low fat, high carb diet is going to probably land you up with a necessity for chronic medication. So imagine a lifetime free of that. Imagine the freedom you can get from being in an LCHF lifestyle. Number one. How can you imagine this? You could read, this is where we come to number two, read testimonials of people who have succeeded on an LCHF diet. You read those testimonials. I mean, that is motivating. If that can't motivate you, I don't know what else can. But those stories, which are available on so many LCHF and ketogenic and paleo lifestyle websites, go read them. I mean, those stories and testimonials are highly, highly motivating. They will get you through the first few days. So that's, we saw side effect number one. Side effect number two could be cramps. Now this is also probably due to a loss of minerals and a loss of salts. This can be also sorted by including salts in your fluids, sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Like I said, you could have them by adding pink salts to lime water or a bone broth. But if you must have supplements like a slow releasing magnesium tablet, maybe twice a day or thrice a day at the beginning, and then later on maybe once for the first 20 days or 30 days, or if you need to continue, I would suggest you talk to a physician or a dietitian on the dosage and the requirement for mineral supplements, especially magnesium supplements, because that could solve the cramp issue if you're prone to cramps. The third possible side effect is constipation. Now, one thing you must understand on an LCHF diet, much of the food you eat is going to get absorbed, and wastage is relatively less in amount. So this means that the amount of excreta will greatly reduce. I know this sounds like a disgusting discussion to have, but
no, but it's important.
But it's important. I mean, it's part of your life. Every day. It's an everyday.
And it could be distracting. You think that something is wrong with you. So I think it's important to have this discussion. So
and if you observe your excreta, you will realize that once you get on an LCHF, the amount greatly decreases. And if you're a continuous LCHF follower and you break it once in a while, for a family wedding or a get together, and you have grains for 3 or 4 days, and then you'll recognize and observe the amount of excreta increases, the texture and color may be different, and sorry for the stinky topic, but the stink is really different and more unbearable when you break after having been for a long time on an LCHF. So that's one thing. So you might, beginners of LCHF diet may, but that is different. Amount of excreta, and that is different. The fact that the frequency and the amount may decrease is not the problem. So don't consider that as a problem. What could be a problem is if you constipate. Now, constipation is having inconvenience, discomfort, or sometimes even pain, and you're unable to get excreta out. Now, that is constipation. Now, this could happen because of the first top reason being dehydration. You're just not having enough water. The second reason could be a lowering in the fiber intake. And third and most important reason could be a lowering of the fat intake. Like I said earlier, we're not used to enough fats, so subconsciously we may not have sufficient amount of good fats when we change over to an LCHF diet, when you're just starting the diet. So sufficient amounts of fat could solve this problem. As a solution for the constipation, what we could consider is increased intake of water. Second is increased intake of fat. Third and the most suggested and recommended advice is increase your intake of fiber. And that is what even on a non-LCHF lifestyle experts would advise, increase your intake of fiber. Now, for a few please do that. Increase your intake of fiber as well if you have constipation, and see if the constipation goes away. For a few people, this increased intake of fiber may not be the solution. I speak from personal experience. Therefore, I'm saying this out for anybody else who may benefit from this. The contrary, decreased intake of fiber may be the solution. I know it sounds counter popular advice, but it works for some people. And I'll give you the reason as a link in the show notes, which I read from another expert website, because when I faced the issue, I wanted a solution and I found this and it worked for me. We'll give that in the show notes. So reduced fibrous vegetables and increased fat intake may be the solution for constipation for some people. So if you've tried everything and it doesn't work, please get out of the mindset saying, I have to take more fiber, I have to take more vegetables, because I've seen people do that. They keep taking more and more fiber and they have continuous constipation issues, and I tell them, could you please try the other thing? Now, since you've tried this for several months and it doesn't work, could you please reduce your fibrous vegetable intake and increase your fat intake? They are unable to do it because of a mindset. So I suggest that if these three solutions don't solve it and you continue to have constipation, kindly stop the intake of fibrous vegetables. Instead, have watery vegetables. See, fibrous vegetables could be green plantain, cabbage, spinach. Spinach is highly fibrous. So what I would suggest is reduce or stop the intake of fibrous vegetables and increase your intake of watery vegetables like ash gourd, cucumber, and all other gourds, pumpkins, snake gourd, and many other bottle gourds. All these watery vegetables may be the solution. So if increased fiber doesn't solve the constipation issue, then I would suggest decrease or stop the fibers, increase watery vegetables, greatly increase your fat content. Continue this for 1 week at least, because digestion issues take time to solve. Constipation issues take time to solve. So try this for 1 week and see if the constipation gets solved. Mostly it will get solved. If it still doesn't, then I would suggest you go to a medical expert, but then try this for at least a week before you decide that it's a big problem and you get scared and you think, oh my God, it's painful, it's difficult, and but mostly this would work.
Yeah, so before we wrap up, we are almost out of time. We'll continue this next week, but we'll continue looking at some of the other points next week. But just want to say these are early side effects. So we would like to not just side effects that are going to prolong, but these are early side effects, and we are specifically talking to people who are getting started. So just to keep that in mind, Tina, is there any other advice that you want to give before we wrap up?
Yeah. Yes, these are only preliminary side effects. Please don't be afraid that this is going to last for a lifetime. These can be solved. They're easily solvable. Solvable is not a word, but yeah. So yes, so the advice would be increase your water intake, increase your salt intake, preferably by using pink salt, because you can have calcium and bone broth, because then you get calcium, magnesium, sodium, and potassium. Yes, and be strong. Hang in there for a few days. Do not give up in the first few days. Hang in there, hang in there, hang in there. I would greatly motivate you to continue till your initial side effects get over, and then you can experience the many advantages of the LCHF lifestyle, which we will see in a further upcoming episode. Hang in there, do this. We'll see a few other initial side effects in the next episode.
All right. Have a wonderful day. God bless you. Send us your questions or thoughts or feedbacks. If you have any, you can leave a comment wherever you're watching this, or you can send us an email to podcast@indianlchf.com. That is podcast@indianlchf.com, and subscribe to us wherever you are listening to this or watching this, so that you do not miss any other episodes that we come up with. We plan to do this much more often. We really appreciate you. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you being with us. God bless you. Stay healthy and stay safe.
Bye-bye.